guys, I'm Krithika Kumar and I'm currently in my Bachelor's of Psychology at University, and today I want to start off with a little question. So, have you guys ever wondered how you lost track of your time doing something because you were so into it that you didn't even notice whatever was happening around? Like, you were completely immersed into what you were doing that you lost track of everything that was happening around. This is the state of flow, because you are, like it says, you are in a state of flow. You have completely, almost devoted yourself to what you were doing, be it painting, be it writing. It differs for different people depending on what your soul interests are in. So when you completely are passionate, when you completely devote all your energy, all your time, all your efforts into what you're doing, that is the state of flow, because you don't even notice whatever is happening around because you're completely into it. Even if someone's like calling you, you will not notice for a split second. It will take some time for you to notice than it would normally. So that is the state of flow, and it will definitely be interesting because the moment you realize oh yeah, that was true, I was in the state of flow while I was doing something. So it's just a little self-realization moments that we can have for ourselves the more we know about ourselves. And this concept of being in a state of flow was actually given out by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi in 1975. But it has existed for thousands of years under other names. So people did realize there's something that was happening, so they did come up with a bunch of other names, but finally it was called the state of flow. And this concept is still followed until today in a lot of therapy practices, especially occupational therapy. So this is something that we may all experience doing different things. And hyperfocus is one of the major traits of this state. So the state of mind where you're completely intensely focused, intensely, concentrating on what you're doing, that, the other needs of yours, be it hunger, thirst, sleep, you can even give up on those whilst you are in the state of flow, whilst you are in this passionate, intense, wild focus almost. So this is also related to hyperfocus, like I said. But as we know, when I say the word instantly, hyperfocus, it is kind of connotated negatively rather than positively most of the times, because hyperfocus is when you are, kind of beyond normal, being intensely highly focused. And this can be exploitative when you're not devoting your time to something productive. So Csikszentmihalyi, along with another expert, Nakamura, they gave out 6 elements that kind of are related to the state of flow. So this kind of defines the state of flow in a way, and also talks about how these factors must exist in order for someone to be called being in a state of flow. So the first element is this intense concentration that is shed in the present moment. So you live the moment. Yes, the quote goes, you are breathing the present. You are completely, solely just doing what you can in the present. There's no presence of the past or the future. There's only the moment that exists, which is the present. The second element that they gave out was how you lose this reflective self-consciousness state, which is you are not evaluating yourself for whatever you are doing. When you're normally doing things, there's almost 2 things happening simultaneously. The first one is you're actually doing something. So if you're singing, you're singing, but at the same time, you're probably noticing how you're singing, right? So you are at the same time evaluating yourself, almost rating yourself of how you're singing. So there's this state of consciousness, like you're bothered by the way you sing. But when you are in the state of flow, there is no reflective self-consciousness present, meaning that you are not looking out for how you're doing whatever you're doing. You are just intensely focused about what you're doing. So you are not, assessing yourself when you are doing something. So for instance, if I go out and I am trying to study in a library, and I am trying to be passionately focused, and it is effortless. Being in a state of flow is completely effortless. You are not, working hard. You are doing it with passion. When there's passion, it's effortless, right? If that makes sense. So when I go to this library, I'm trying to study, and with that, before I realize I enjoy what I do. I am studying with all my mind, everything, my energy, my time, everything totally devoted to me studying, that I don't care whoever walks past, whoever is sitting beside me, whoever is chewing, however loud the sound gets. I am completely into my own work, right? So, and when I am doing that, I am not bothered about the amount of time I have left, or when I have to go home, what the time is, or there are no other thoughts. All of my mind is completely, totally devoted and is focused on what I am doing, what I am studying. So this is also one of the major elements of being in the state of flow. The third element up is when there's this collision of action and awareness. So this is kind of the ideal human we all want to be, because you're in your highest sense, you're having this highest sense of interest, and you're being your highest high at this moment, because you're also enjoying what you're doing, and it's probably also productive. So this is where we all want to be in, be it at your workplace, as long as it's not exploitative. For instance, if you're playing video games for hours and you don't realize, well, that's probably not as good as probably getting your homework done, which is due in like 2 days. So there's also this debate on when you are in the state of flow, doing what. So that's when it kind of gets quite tricky. So when you're in your workplace, or when you're at school, or when you are at uni doing your work, and you are experiencing the state of flow, and that is when you are completely aware of what you're doing, of the action you're performing. So that is when your action and your awareness meet each other. And the fourth element up is when your subjective experience of time is altered. So my perception of time completely changes. So when you go and talk to someone who's just been in the state of flow, like after their chain is broken, they come out and you ask them, how long have you been painting? They'll probably tell you well, for like an hour or two. But the reality is they have spent about 5 hours painting, and they don't even know that they actually spent 5 hours. So the realization strikes a lot later, after they're done, after the chain of flow is broken. So they lose track of time, like I said earlier. The fifth element up is when you gain a personal sense of control over what you're doing, because you own completely what you're doing. When you you are in this widest being of yourself, you are completely enjoying this phenomenon. You have painted like 2-3 portraits, and you enjoyed it, you really love it, you feel like you're doing the best. And just a heads up, like I said earlier, you're not evaluating yourself though, you are just enjoying what you're doing. So you have gained a control over what you're doing. So this is also a very important factor to understand when you are in the state of flow. It kind of signals that you are in the state of flow. The last element up is, this is also called an autotelic experience. So this is when you are internally feeling so good, you're intrinsically at your highest moment, you feel like you're rewarding yourself. You don't need anyone to tell you, you don't need others to praise you, or you're not seeking anybody else's approval. You just gain your own approval internally. So there's this large, humongous internal intrinsic motivation that you experience, because you are not dependent on what others' opinions are on what you're doing, because you are just so internally loving what you're doing. So that is why it's called an autotelic experience. So there's also this personality type even, which you can say. So when you see someone who is very intrinsically motivated, you can call them as, or you can you label them as being an autotelic personality, because they are completely internally motivated, they have an internal locus of control, and they can reward their own selves with passion, with interest, with large sense of motivation that comes from the inside, the praise, the achievement sense, everything, the sense of power, everything comes from within. They don't need anything externally to push them, to drive them. The drive is from within. So this is also an autotelic experience. I don't really know if I was in the state of flow creating this video, but of course, hell yeah, I want to be every single time. So that will be it. Thank you so much. If you guys stayed this far, it really means a lot to me. But even if you watched tiny bits, that also means a lot to me. So have a very good day. Bye.